Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to a special episode of Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. Today, we're honored to bring you a captivating story of resilience, love, and the incredible power of organ donation. Our guest this episode is the remarkable Jennienne, whose journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. From battling kidney failure at a young age to finding hope through the selfless act of her brother and husband. Her story will inspire and uplift you in ways beyond imagination. Join us as we dive into the twists and turns of Jennienne's life. From the heights of successful transplants to the challenge of facing kidney failure once more. Witness the remarkable bond of family and the generosity of strangers coming together in a donor chain to provide Jennienne with the gift of life. Jennienne, welcome to the show. I'm so excited about having you with us today. And like I ask everyone, let's just kind of start things off from the beginning.
Well, for me, I was just 17 and I woke up one day, my eyes were blurry. So I started splashing my eyes with water and I couldn't get my eyes to come clear and I didn't know why. And the next thing I knew, I was bringing myself to an eye doctor. I went to an eye doctor. My eye doctor said, you better get to the hospital. My blood pressure was skyrocketing.
So did you lose your kidneys from the high blood pressure or was your kidneys going awry when your eyes went?
Well, I was 17. I'm already a mom. I had a very toxic pregnancy where I was just swollen and it was just a weird pregnancy. And so I was off my feet. But after my son's already maybe 15 months old and I went to a diet doctor. So that's my guess is that I went on, you're talking 1977 is when I lost my kidneys and 1977 is when I went to a diet doctor. Okay. So back then, you know what they gave you for diet pills, right?
It was diuretics, wasn't it? Or kind of? Back
then in 1977, it was pure speed. It was amphetamines. It was just, yeah. I was on diet. I was under a doctor's supervision. And I went to a diet doctor and he gave me diet pills and I dropped a lot of weight really fast. So I didn't have any underlying disease.
So then you found out basically when you went to the hospital that you were losing your kidney function?
I was in kidney failure. I was in a small little hospital on Long Island and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So then my mom rushed me over to a bigger hospital, where I was I was put right on peritoneal dialysis. Back then, peritoneal dialysis was emergency peritoneal dialysis, and they hung these big bottles of water, and I didn't know what was going on. You know, I couldn't tell you what was happening back then because I was so young and it was 1977, you know.
So then when did you get because you've had more than one kidney, if I'm right.
Well, yes. My first transplant, I did dialysis at first. It was so young and so early. Transplants in 77 was only fairly new. So I felt okay. I was energetic. I was working. I was, doing dialysis. So I did dialysis for 12 years before I got a transplant.
Okay.
So I didn't trust transplants in the 70s. I was like, no, they need to know. It was my whole thing. I was like, no, they need to know more, So I put it off. I felt good. I did my own dialysis, my own treatments at the unit. They trained me to put my own needles in. And we had our own little area. And so we did dialysis and I put the machine up and tore it down and took completely care of myself.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I'm a mom and I was going to beauty school. So I got my beautician's license. So
let me ask you this. Now, I know, nowadays, of course, you go in and get either a graft or a fistula. And if for people, have never had kidney problems or needed dialysis, what that is, it's a bigger vein they actually insert to your arm. So it's easier to get the needles in and out. So did you have a fistula, or was you having to find your actual, veins back in those days?
No, they did do a fistula. I got to say, fistulas are the only way to go. Like, you have to, nowadays they do the graft, and my own experience watching people with the grafts they pushed the grafts on people, and so they could do repeat work. They have to get worked on every 3 months. Like, they have to get it cleaned out, rooted, whatever, on a graft. A fistula is cleaner. It's better for you, and you get better dialysis with a fistula.
Okay, because I had a graft actually myself.
Right, and this time, my third time going back, I always had them cut off after I got a transplant. I always was told, fistulas were better to get. Okay. They'll tell you that they can't find a vein. I go to doctors before until I found a vein. I was told this last time for my fistula that please find a vein. I refused to graft because I was afraid of infections. Okay. I'm so prone for infections.
Well, what year was it that you got your first transplant? What year was that then?
1988.
Okay, so it's been a while, and you were used to the system for sure. And how long did that kidney work?
That kidney, 11 years, 88, and my brother was a donor. Almost an identical twin match, and they wanted me to get a transplant right away back then, and I refused because I was fine. I told them I was fine, and I did my dialysis, but finally said, okay, I had enough. We got worked up, and he was like identical twin match, but meanwhile, it just only lasted another 11 years.
So then you were on...
Which was great. Which was great,
Yeah, 11 years off dialysis is great when you've been on dialysis. Well, if it was 77 and then you got in 88, so that was like 11 years on dialysis. That was quite a trip on dialysis for sure.
Well, BJ, with the machines back then, I got to tell you, it was like a big old wash machine. The machines were so different even back then. It was just so... if my kidneys failed a little less than 10 years earlier, I probably wouldn't be alive, because they only gave transplants or did dialysis for the rich and the wealthy. Mm-hmm. If you look back on the ages of dialysis and, what they did and insurances and all that, not too many people were covered. So that's how I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, I'm lucky to do dialysis,
Well, that was good then. So you got your first kidney in 88. It lasted 11 years. And then obviously you had to go back on dialysis again.
I went on dialysis for a short time. My husband got worked up. I was waiting for a donor. So my husband was like, I'm going to give you a kidney and see if I can get worked up. And he did. And we actually shared an antigen, which was weird. So we went to... my first transplant was in Stony Brook. We went to St. Barnabas because they were the only ones at that time in the 80s who did where they go in through the belly, where they take out his kidney. What do you call that?
Oh, something scopic. I know that.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
The laparoscopic kidney, they only took him because I was worried about him donating, because my brother was younger. And when they took out his kidney, they did they cut him from front to back. That was rough. They didn't do laparoscopic back when my brother gave me his kidney. So when my husband went to give me his kidney, I searched the hospital that was, kind of close. That was in New Jersey. I was living in New York, and New Jersey was St. Barnabas. They did laparoscopic. So we went there, we got worked up there, and everything went great. And he gave me his kidney laparoscopically.
And how did all of that work out?
Well, he said he would do it again in 100 times. Being the donor was no big deal. He had a few gas pains, and I had another 11 years. So
that's 22 years then of transplanted kidneys. And then now you're on dialysis, or you have another kidney now?
Well, right now, at this moment, I have a kidney again, but it took 6 years waiting. And so then I started a campaign on Facebook. I asked everybody, please share all my pictures. I made little videos. And this is way back before everybody started campaigning for the kidneys. I think I was pretty new to, Facebook was fairly new. Not that new, but nobody was really campaigning for kidneys back then like they do now. You see it all the time now, but like I put up and just please share it to your friends. I made a cute little video and my grandchildren and me, and, I used the song from Wild Horses. It was just everybody shared, and eventually I got a living donor off of Facebook.
Okay, so you've basically then had 3 living donors, obviously.
3 living donors, yes. It was very difficult this time to match because of my PRA level, which you hear, I think you heard Melissa talking about. She's high sensitized.
Yes. Now, is that from receiving 2 different kidneys before? Because I know she had...
Well, everything. The kidney, the blood transfusions throughout, being sick, and pregnancies. Your whole makeup changes.
Well, that's so one thing I guess was lucky with me before I needed my kidney. I'd had a heart, so that did give me some donor-specific antibodies with my heart, but I've never been pregnant. Right. I can say that at least.
Right. But you have blood transfusions?
I've had some blood transfusions, yes, along the way, because I had my first open heart surgery when I was 22 months old.
I know. That's amazing. I was reading that, and that's like amazing. And you have and you have 3 children, and those your children? I mean...
Yeah, no, all 3 of them. I have 2. I have 2 children, and they both, my daughter's been having a few little heart issues, but hopefully, she wasn't born with it. They say she's got a good heart, but they think mostly hers is stress. She's a first grade teacher. That'll give you stress for sure. She's done that for about the last 15 years and went through a divorce. And they think, a lot of her heart problems now may be stress. So, they're giving her medication and things. Yeah. So hopefully she'll come out of it and, be good and not have to be like her daddy and go get a transplant.
No, but you were able to father children. Were you a recipient at the time, or
no?
You had your children already.
No, I had my first open heart surgery at 22 months old, and what they gave me was a blue baby operation. I was not a blue baby.
Okay.
So then they told my parents I'd probably live to see my mid-teens, and that'd be about it, which has got to be rough, rough news to hear that your kid's going to die at, like 14, 15 years old. And so when I was like 14, they came to my parents and they said, we have an experimental surgery. What we do, we make 2 wrongs, because my heart was basically pumping against itself. They said, if we reconnect some of the wiring, we're actually going to make 2 wrongs, but the 2 wrongs will make a right. So basically what happened, my heart went backwards, and it was called transposition of the great vessels. So what happened, my weak side, because you have a weak side of your heart and a strong side, and my weak side was then forced to do all the work, all the heavy lifting, all the pumping. And so the weak side was going, hey, I'm not doing anything over here. And when I got to be about 50, that side of the heart just said, I'm wore out. I wasn't made to, to do this much work. So that's when I went into the transplant world. And it was probably by the time I first got tested to the time I got my transplant, it was probably only 6 months, but they had me in and out of the hospital. In fact, when they gave me my heart transplant, they said, we cannot believe that you were still alive this long.
What year?
I had mine in 2003.
2003. And so you fathered children. I'm just like...
Well, no, I actually had my children in my younger years when I had the because when they gave me the transposition surgery, they said, now, you can pretty much live a normal life. But I don't think I ever got complete blood flow, even with the second surgery. Because when I got the transplant, I felt like a whole new man. It was like a rude awakening for me. I felt like, whoa.
Amazing.
I never felt this good.
I never met heart recipients. Amazed me. Like, I knew I was pretty amazing with the kidney transplant and being young and living, through what I lived through. But when I met my first heart recipients was what you and what was that other guy's name? And Mike
and Terry, yes.
And then there was another young man that had a heart transplant, and then Madeline, all these people from our group back then. I was just in awe of heart transplant recipients. Just the whole thing about it, just that you have somebody's working heart.
Well, I was really nervous in the beginning because when they first started testing me, they said, "We think you are going to need a lung and heart transplant because when we put that new heart in, it's going to be so strong and pump so hard, your lungs aren't used to it, and it may blow them out." But then they did some other tests, thank God. Goodness. And then I just needed the heart. But they had me kind of worried in the beginning, thinking I might need a heart and a lung. And I know there are heart and lung transplants performed every day. And, that would be the one that would afraid me. I would be afraid of.
I know, but I met people that had lung, heart, kidney, they're living with all these other organs, and that just blows my mind.
It does.
It's just crazy, and it's wonderful, and it's science, and, the medical field, I was always like, whatever the doctor told me to do, I said, okay, I would always do it. I listened to them, and I'm like, better than me, but wow, just think about it.
Well, you having your kidney, your first kidney problems back in 1977, you too, as I have seen how much the medical field has changed over the years.
Absolutely.
And it just...
there was so much more compassion back then. I'm sorry. And today it's just so business-like. Oh, yeah,
it's a business, but it's a business that makes us happy, though, too.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Absolutely. I look at the dialysis units, and when I did dialysis, we were a family, and everybody knew everybody, and we were just so close and tight, and all my friends. And I remember I went to a Christmas party, and my doctor said, I asked my doctor, and I was watching people pass away, and I was getting so sad watching them pass away. But I asked my doctor, I'm like, how come I'm still here? And we lost this one and we lost that one. And it was very sad to see. But he said, Jennienne, he goes, you have your family, you have so much love, and all this other, support. He goes, those people that passed away early, they didn't have that. And this was a doctor telling me that. Like, he was telling me, this is what you have, love and support, and this is what's getting you through to where you're being.
And
where you are.
And that's why the caregivers are so important. I had loving parents that would do anything they could for me. And now I have a loving wife that'll do anything she can for me. And those not only...
And friends.
Oh, yeah, friends too. And I think that has to do, if you're loved and you're cared for, your attitude is different than if you're facing things all alone. I don't think your attitude can be the same.
We've seen people pass away, and there was like no rhyme or reason. Why are they gone, and why am I still here? And that's what I asked this doctor. And this had to be in the 90s. We were at a Christmas party, and the doctor, and I just stopped, and I took his hand, and I asked him, how come I'm still here? Like, why me? And like, how come? So that's what he told me. And, and I always remembered that. It's your love and your support, and it's a big thing. Other than all the other technical stuff.
Yeah, of course, everybody I talk to on this podcast that has had a transplant, they're all aware of the anti-rejection drugs and the havoc that they play on our lives. So you basically, at least when I was younger, I had different surgeries, but you've been working with transplants all the way from, what'd you say the first one was? Because actually you went 11 years on dialysis,
well,
so it would be about 88.
1977. I was 17 years old when my kidneys failed. So I did 1988. My brother gave me his kidney, and that was a big deal back then too. Like Dr. Rappaport, he was this big transplant surgeon, and when he walked down the halls, I remember he felt like the Pope. It was just such a different world, and he actually harvested. He was one of the doctors that, with the immune suppressant drugs, like he wanted me on a Pritikin diet. He wanted me on I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
But there was no way I could handle a Pritikin diet, but it was no salt, no sugar. It was just clean. It was just really, really a rough diet, but he swore by that diet. And, but then they were like, have sugar-free soda, sugar sweet and low and no sugar, all this stuff. And I was like, and that's how strict they were. And the medication that I was on, Imuran, cyclosporin, it was rough on the body. It was so rough on the body. Then they came out with better drugs,
And hopefully they will continue to do so too. They're
absolutely.
They're even, I think, now, I'm not a doctor and I'm not doing all the research, but, hopefully someday they're going to be able to put an organ in you and you won't need all the anti-rejection drugs that you need today with, I don't know, they'll alter your,
correct.
Who knows what they'll do, but like I said, they make strides each and every day. So,
I needed to accept this kidney. Like I waited 6 years. I did dialysis at home for 6 years. My husband and I, he was my tech and I did everything else. Like he would fix my machine, do my machine, and I'd do my needles and take care of myself, doing my treatments. But he, he's been with me. We've been married over 30 something years. He's amazing that he's been there for me this long. And I just got sidetracked.
It happens to us all. Whenever you get sidetracked or when anything happens, the first thing I do, it's the meds.
I know.
I just blame it all on the meds, no matter what it is or no matter what the excuse. That's the meds problems.
That some transplant patients, and I know I am one of them too, but they could talk. they could talk, and I think it's the meds. Like they could talk, and I'm like, wow. And I know I could talk, but some people just talk me out,
Well,
and it's crazy, but it's the meds,
Well, I was on the radio probably 35 years before I got my transplant, so I learned to talk early. But my problem was, since I did have a bad heart and I was weaker, I was the guy that learned quick how to talk myself out of any fight. I don't think, knock on wood, and it continues. Of course, I'm like almost 70 now, but I have never been punched. And I think I've talked myself out of, being punched at least a half a dozen to a dozen times.
Right. I know I was highly sensitized for this transplant. So they had to desensitize me to accept this organ. Oh, what do they call that? They cleaned out my blood. So it accepted this organ. It was called,
This is what I hate about this too. A lot of the words the doctors use, I make up other words for them. You have to sometimes.
Well, they cleaned out my platelets and gave me new ones. And, so.
Photophoresis or plasmapheresis?
Yes, plasmapheresis. So I had to do that quite a few times in the beginning to accept this kidney. And a lot of people with good insurance, now this is so cool, but if they have really good insurance with kidney transplants, they go in monthly and get it done just so nothing ever happens to their kidney.
Yeah, now with my heart, I've done that a few times. I've had both plasmapheresis and photophoresis where they clean out your blood. But so because like I said, but that's
what is photo though?
Photo is when they take your blood out, they will spin it in a little spin dish, and then they collect the platelets. They put it back in, then they take more out and they spin it. They take out the platelets, and then after about 6 times, they take all those platelets, they inject them with some kind of drug. They put them under a photo light or a fluorescent light for 20 minutes, and it kills whatever it's supposed to kill. And then they put those platelets back in your body. So like I said, it's all foreign to me, but it seems to work.
Right. So with my kidney, this brings me to the girl. She wasn't a match. The girl who donated this kidney from Facebook, she was not a match, but she wanted to donate to me so badly. So we did paired exchange, and I don't know if you know what that is.
Yes, but why don't we explain it for people maybe joining the show that are new to organ transplants?
Okay. So paired exchange is when somebody who wants to donate, let's say you have a family member who, seriously, like my husband was a match, thank God. If he couldn't match me, and they didn't have paired exchange when he gave me his kidney, but so she donated her kidney in January, and I waited for somebody to match me. So somebody else who has somebody with a donor that don't match. And you have to you have to actually go to your transplant team and tell them you want to do a paired exchange. Otherwise, they're not going to, yeah.
And what I've been told, too, these chains can get up to like 6 to 8 people in them.
Correct.
It's not like, well, I'll trade and you trade. It's kind of like trading baseball cards, I guess, when I was a kid. But, you got to get a bunch of people together, and this one goes to this person.
Sometimes it works that way, yes, which is amazing. But mine, which was is a paired exchange kidney. They have a program for that. So all across the country, there's other people who have donors who want to be donors, but they don't have anybody that matches. Mm-hmm. So for me, the girl who donated, she donated in January in my name. And then so I have like this ticket, and so I waited 6 months before my kidney came. And which I'm very blessed because I'm so highly sensitized being with the 3-time donor. And let's not even talk about where they had to put it because we're going to find a spot for it for the third kidney. I waited 6 months, and my kidney came from Texas. Her kidney went to California.
Okay.
And I had a 40-year-old construction worker's kidney. I don't know who he is.
Do you build better now?
Yeah, I'm a carpenter, which is so funny. I never ate a hot dog until I had my husband's kidney. Little things like that, which was always different. People say, like, your taste changes and stuff like that. And sometimes I think it's true, and sometimes I don't know.
Well, my story is when I got my heart transplant, it was in 2003. And that was really of course, I didn't get it till March, but, all up to Super Bowl, I was in and out of the hospital almost constantly.
Oh, my God.
And that was the year that the Bucks won the Super Bowl. I never in my life enjoyed football. Never did I watch football. Never did I care about football. And now, for some reason or another, I have to be in front of the TV every Sunday to root on the Buccaneers. Now, was that my donor who was a Bucks fan, or was it because I was in the hospital all that time the year the Bucks won the World Series? I don't know, but I'm going to say it was my donor because, I think
it is. I believe in that so much, And
you hear those stories. Yeah, you hear those stories all the time.
All the time. My goodness. My donor is so special. She's a mom of 4. Her name's Sarah. She's a veterinarian. Now, why she wanted to donate, I don't know. It was just something that she wanted to do, in her heart, wanting to do. And mom of 4 and her kids still all were in school, and a busy veterinarian. Like, I was so blessed with her.
You got to ask yourself sometimes, why do they do what they do? But we are so blessed and so happy that they do.
Living donors are amazing. And my husband says he would do it again. His blood work is perfect. He did it in the 80. He did his in 2003. He did his in 2003, and his kidney function's amazing. And what happens is if somebody gives a kidney, their other kidney takes over and does the work for 2.
Well, that's like, too, when you got your husband's, you only had
yes.
one. Now I only have one.
Right.
Yeah, so that just proves that, you can live fine. And my creatinine, even with taking the anti-rejection drugs, my creatinine is staying pretty well close to the normal range. Maybe a little elevated, but not bad.
Right. That's excellent. But you stay hydrated and everything and all that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. That's so important. So important. Just so important. I think I'm better now than, because I was running around. I don't know if I ever dehydrated myself or not, but I was always working and so busy and taking care of myself, but I don't know if I ever dehydrated myself. You know what I mean? Like you get into a routine where you even forget that you're a transplant patient because you're so healthy feeling. You feel so healthy and, young and vibrant and running around. And now that I'm older, because I'm going to be 65 this coming birthday. Oh my God. Oh my God. So this coming birthday, I'll be 65, but I remember, I knew when I got my kidney failed, I just remember saying to myself, well, if I live till I'm 60, I'll be okay, and I always thought, oh, if I live till I'm 40, I'll be, because I had my son, and then I'd see him graduate high school and, be there for him. And then now I have grandchildren, and it's just so wonderful.
And before I let you go here, because, I've taken up a lot of your time, but is there any last things that you want to make sure that people are listening to the podcast that they know?
Just that living donors are well taken care of, and when they just won't take your kidney, they check you out. If you're ever thinking about donating a kidney to a friend or somebody that you know, a family member, or even somebody that you don't know, the hospitals are not taking risks for anybody. They check you out. Give you every single test imaginable. They're not going to risk your life in any way whatsoever to save another's. To be sure, and also to be a donor on your license as well.
And another thing too, real quick, that with that medical check, it could actually, even if you can't donate sometimes, and I've heard this story, people that wanted to donate a kidney, be a living donor. So they got the medical checkup and they found they did have something wrong with them where they weren't able to donate the kidney, but it saved their lives.
It saves their lives because they run so many tests. They don't know how lucky and how amazing. And I heard that so many times too. Like, my older brother was going to donate this time when I waited this last time, but he wasn't able to because he had an issue with he has something, a small little thing with his heart. Nothing that's causing anything, but it could cause something, so he wasn't eligible as a donor. I had so many people wanting to donate, but for reasons, like one lady she had back problems and she was on pain meds, and there was nothing else wrong with her except for she was being seen for her back problems. And she was very, very healthy. She was rejected. She also rejected if you're a smoker. They are very, 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 very picky. And they'll also reject you if your psyche isn't right, if you're not 100% clear on that's exactly what you want to do. You have to be 100% clear on you wanting to be a donor. Family members will come and say, I want to donate because they're feeling obligated. They'll put you through, they won't let you do it if you really have second thoughts, Yeah,
they're pretty smart at that. And of course, those people receiving your organs are also tested because they don't want to give someone's beautiful kidney to someone who's going to go out and trash it, next month.
Exactly. So they are they take care of UNOS and this whole program of donating and transplantation. They are very smart about it. see your doctor regularly.
Thank you, Jennienne, for sharing your story. If you would like to share your story, contact us. Just reach out to bjodom55@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook at Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. And remember to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, this is BJ Odom reminding you to enjoy the gift of life.